The following is a presentation of the Pro Wrestling Report. Television, radio, internet, the world. Coming up next, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Pro Wrestling Report Special Edition. It's Be the Booker, BTB, for WWE's Elimination Chamber this Sunday on pay-per-view, tomorrow night on pay-per-view. The whiteboard is over there. We're going to start in just a moment. This is the Pro Wrestling Report, Be the Booker. And now, celebrating 13 years on the air, this is the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time with David Hero, Frank Cosentino, Linda Kay, the man they call Meathead, and Damian Nelson. All the latest from World Wrestling Entertainment, total nonstop action wrestling, and more. This is the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this special edition of the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time. David Octavius the Tiberius, the not a Hall of Famer hero, Be the Booker. Coming up tomorrow, it's the Elimination Chamber on pay-per-view, and this, the interns are smart. It's the Elimination Chamber. Tomorrow night on pay-per-view, we've got a SmackDown Chamber match and a Raw Chamber match. But before we get to those matchups, we've got an Intercontinental Championship match and a WWE Championship matchup as well. Now, on the SmackDown side of things, David, the winner becomes the new world champion.
The world champion, right?
Absolutely. Over on the Raw side of Chambers,
Becomes the number one contender.
to face the winner of this contest, The Miz, at WrestleMania 27. Hosted by The Rock.
The Rock.
I want to thank you for all of your feedback on that special Thursday edition of the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Television. And without further ado, let's get right to it. Let's get crack-a-lackin', if you will. And let's first, David Hero, talk about the Intercontinental Championship matchup. It is Kofi Kingston versus Alberto Del Rio. Kofi Kingston, the current champion. How do you see this match if you were the booker?
If I'm booking this match just for the chamber going into WrestleMania, there's only one thing you can do, and that is you have Alberto Del Rio win.
Alberto Del Rio, the winner of the 2011 WWE Royal Rumble. He's got that spot against the winner of the Elimination Chamber matchup at Mania.
But I'm saying to win here, so he goes into Mania strong, okay? But often, this guy will lose before Mania and then win the title at Mania.
Dropping down a little bit?
Yeah, but we're booking this the way I think it will benefit WrestleMania, and that is to have Del Rio make Kofi tap.
Really?
He's the number one contender for the world title on the SmackDown brand. He has to look strong that he can beat everybody in this match.
I see you. I understand.
So maybe if he comes in as the IC champion,
wow,
against the world champion,
step one, step two,
could be, because he's going to probably wind up in the Money in the Bank match again. Doesn't need the title for that. But build it strong, get Del Rio off to a hot start, let him win, so now it's like, hey, see, he's gathering the gold. He won the Rumble. Now he's the IC champ. Now he's going in strong for the world title match at WrestleMania. That's how I would book that match.
David Hero picking Alberto Del Rio to win that match and the Intercontinental Championship, but you already knew that. The SmackDown Chamber, David Hero, is a bit unique for several reasons. The current World Heavyweight Champion is Edge. As we found out on SmackDown last night, Dolph Ziggler fired by a returning Teddy Long. Rumored for a matchup already at WrestleMania, which may or may not happen. Relevance in question. Yeah. I mean, it's difficult to care about this matchup. It's for the World Championship, but you've got the following participants: Kane, Wade Barrett, Rey Mysterio, Edge the champion, Drew McIntyre, and probably Cody Rhodes.
No. If he's not in, I plug in Christian.
Oh, at last he's on his own?
Yeah.
What does that get him?
He gets these two. And the fans will be happy with that.
Uh-huh. You have a way of doing this. That
Wow.
sometimes works.
But let's face it, Drew McIntyre has no chance at leaving the champion. Kane. I think Barrett's going to shine. I think he's going to do great. Boy.
And you talked in the last matchup about WrestleMania. You got to expect that there's some WrestleMania implications that are going to come out of this match. Now, you've already taken Kane and Drew McIntyre off the board. You got to do something with Barrett at Mania. You got to do something with Rey Mysterio at Mania. Maybe they join Kofi in the Money in the Bank match if it were to happen, if that's the way to go.
He
But
does not go to Money in the Bank match.
exactly.
I could see him winning the Chamber and facing Del Rio at Mania. I could see that. It would not surprise me one bit.
Oh, I see it.
Edge doesn't need it.
Is he a sleeper? Is Rey Mysterio a
I
sleeper
think-
in this matchup?
He was a sleeper in Money in the Bank, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
When he beat Jack Swagger. I mean, I love Wade Barrett. I think he's a superstar. But you can't have Del Rio and Barrett face off. Edge and Del Rio, to me, that's boring. But they still have unfinished business, these two guys. They really do. Let it come.
Unfinished business that hasn't been addressed in recent weeks. Meaning
This
that
isn't,
maybe
listen, this isn't the sexy pick, okay? And I'm sure a lot of people are going to say, we don't want Ray to win. But you got to find an opponent for Del Rio that could be great. As much as I like Edge, do you want to see Edge and Del Rio? Or do you want to see two guys that can, tear the place down?
Which frees these two up?
Oh, these
Because
two-
will you see that at Mania? Could Christian go into a main event matchup with Edge at Mania?
Or Christian and Edge reform the tag team and go for the tag titles at Mania.
What role does the core play in this matchup? It's a little more difficult to sneak into the chamber than it is in any other kind of matchup.
Right, but the Taker could come up from the bottom of the chamber
I'm going to see him till
Monday, so he's not going to leave the champion. I would love to see him leave as the champion. But then Del Rio and Barrett,
You're absolutely right. Unfortunately, ADR and Ray has some play to it, more so than any other scenario I can think of in this matchup.
but now we're booking this without knowing if he's going to be in or who's going to be in. I mean, this player here, this X Factor, could change the whole dynamic of the whole thing.
As could this player who you added, Christian. Could change the whole dynamic.
Well, Christian could win because they have unfinished business also.
ADR took him out.
Mm-hmm.
Christian ADR at Mania, though?
It's not sexy.
Can it get there?
Ray will sell pay-per-view tickets to the kids.
Right.
Kids love Ray, and right there, it's built in.
ADR could finally prove himself with defeating Ray at Mania for the championship, because that's a big deal.
Right, and then Ray can chase him for a little while.
It's a heritage thing.
Mm-hmm.
I see it. I actually somewhat like it. Well, the WWE Championship is also on the line.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry the King Lawler gets his championship opportunity, and he gets it against the current WWE Champion, The Miz. David Hero, I shall press play.
Now this one here, if I'm booking this match, okay, I'm going to let Jerry the King Lawler beat The Miz. And here's why. The Miz can then beat Lawler on Monday Night Raw and beat the blue hell out of him, which then gives him a ton of steam and is credible as a badass going into WrestleMania as the champion. Right now, he's a weak champion, but to beat up Lawler, to take him out, gives them some street cred. So it might be a one-night stand kind of thing, title, reign for Jerry Lawler, but then they can say he did it for his mom, he's a new champ, and then Monday Night Raw, where people are going to be tuning in to watch the return of Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, let The Miz beat Jerry Lawler, and start the whole road to WrestleMania, but a different type of Miz, a more serious
In 2
Miz.
weeks, it will have been forgotten.
Absolutely. That's what I would do here.
Do you think that's what they will do?
Of course not.
Do you think The Miz wins?
Yeah, I'm sure that they'll book The Miz to win. But what a great story it is
I like
for
it.
Lawler.
I like it, especially when The Miz wins again. I like it.
Mhm.
You gotta wonder, and I'm not trying to sensationalize this or say that they're going to capitalize on it, but a situation is brewed that the scenario you just played out makes a lot of sense. It's Jerry Lawler's first real shot at a championship in WWE.
Mhm. His mother just died this past week.
The carrot dangling is if Jerry does this, he can go to WrestleMania, or at least people could think that for 24 hours or maybe a week. It's almost falling very, very nicely into place. And again, I'm saying that wrong, but I see it. I see it.
He beats Miz. Miz gets the title back the next night. Let's say Alex Riley helps out in the beatdown of Jerry Lawler. Lawler versus Alex Riley at WrestleMania. There's his WrestleMania one. Or Michael Cole against Lawler. They've talked about that also. It could be a handicap match.
Given the fact that this certainly won't end the show, you got to imagine this will. Does that still happen?
This could end the show. Sure it could. I can see it going.
What do you got, Ray? That's a happy feel good. You got ADR, not so happy feel good.
wins.
Lawler's a happy feel good. We'll get to that match in a minute. You got it. The winner in that one is sort of obvious, I think, but
Not completely.
that's why you're here. All right. David Harrell picks Jerry the King Lawler to become the new WWE champion tomorrow at the Elimination Chamber on pay-per-view. And then he picks The Miz. David Hero, this guy, picks The Miz to become the new WWE champion in a hail of glory Monday night
Monday Night Raw.
on Raw.
Mhm.
Did The Rock tell us the main event at WrestleMania last Monday night? When he talked about two people and two people only during his 23
Not
minutes
really.
on TV.
Not really.
Talked about The Miz, he talked about John Cena. Was an egg laid?
That's why I'm thinking this could be completely different now, this time around.
The seeming main event. It is the Raw Elimination Chamber matchup.
With 4 baby faces and 2 heels.
You've got R-Truth, who may or may not be in this thing, by the way, because they could
Well,
certainly sell him away.
Can he find out what city he's going to be in first? He may go to the wrong place.
Randy Orton, John Morrison, who should be tremendous in this matchup, by the way, lots of toys to play with. John Cena, Sheamus, the King, CM Punk, who has Nexus at his beckoning call. David Hero, this one to me seems a little tricky in picking the number one contender going into WrestleMania. Obviously, you can get rid of R-Truth right away. You're going to get rid of Morrison that fast, huh?
It's not going to be there.
Sheamus. All right, so on primetime you said something about Trips and Taker.
Mm-hmm.
Where does that leave the King? Sheamus. Because the obvious match with him was a rematch from last
You
year's
know what?
WrestleMania.
He could be in the
Money in the Bank? Isn't that a waste of Sheamus?
It depends. If there's no one else for him. These are the 3 main cogs in this entire match. Orton, Cena, and Punk.
Do a little Randy Orton and Punk have some history. Punk and Cena obviously have a
They
ton
have a ton of history here.
Orton and Cena have history. You know, it's unfortunate that Randy Orton is the least relevant in this matchup.
See, there's a big question mark on this whole thing. Is where's The Rock going to be at WrestleMania?
Well, one thing's for sure, don't order Elimination Chamber thinking you're going to see him.
No, but what I'm saying is, we could have a Rock versus Cena match at WrestleMania.
Oh boy.
You could. We really could.
I think the chances are slim.
But you never know. He laid the egg Monday night.
Well, it could be Rock versus Miz at WrestleMania.
No,
He laid that same egg.
not as big.
He didn't.
So you can see Orton and Punk here. Orton winning to then face The Miz.
Ugh.
Then you have Cena
Oh.
against The Rock.
But I don't think so.
Why
Okay.
not?
Okay. So if it's not Rock Cena,
Mhm. If it's not Rock Cena, then it's going to be Cena winning. Because then Orton versus Punk will have a match at Mania.
here's what's good on the Raw side of things.
Because
They got-
they've been kept apart, haven't they?
They
Have
have.
they had a match yet?
They have, but they have substantial unfinished business. They haven't had that match yet.
They
And
don't
if
need
they,
it. They don't need it because he's already over here with Orton right now. So then Cena wins. But I'm just saying, if there's a Rock Cena, Orton wins. But
do you
John
think there's
Cena,
time for a Rock Cena match?
how quick did they do Hogan versus Rock? Within a couple of weeks, a month maybe.
Enough time for Rock to get run over by a semi-truck and an ambulance and
Yeah.
come back the next week.
Mhm.
Yes. Happened in Chicago, by the way, the Ulster.
So you're going to have 1, 2, 3 babies and 1 heel go over on Sunday. And now, of course, we don't know about any tag title matches yet. We don't know about any Divas title matches yet.
There won't be any. They can change it, but the winner of this matchup, it's clearly stated, gets a number one contender spot at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Thus making, okay, all right. So if Rock, if Cena doesn't win, then you think it's Rock Cena. If, well, okay. I don't know. I'm not feeling it. And
Honestly,
there's 4 letters missing off this board.
and you know what? We're not going to get one on this board.
What?
There is no DW.
What?
There's not one match I feel good about this entire show.
Really?
Really.
You know what? You did struggle. You didn't struggle here so much. You struggled here.
Mhm.
I don't think you feel as good about that as
I
you
don't
have
feel
in
good
some
about
other.
any of these.
Struggled here. This makes some sense. I see that. But isn't it good that the E can go anywhere with any of these matches and that'd be fine?
That just proves that there's more depth here than I thought they had.
That's why the whiteboard helps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's all I got for you.
Well, to recap, David Hero thinks, or would make it as such, that Alberto Del Rio defeats Kofi Kingston, walks into WrestleMania 27 as the Intercontinental Champion.
It's all
Rey
E-
Mysterio
it's all
wins
EPO.
the World Heavyweight Championship on the SmackDown side of things in the SmackDown Elimination Chamber. There's a new WWE champion. And somebody, either Cena or Orton, wins the Raw Elimination Chamber matchup. And apparently this entire show is in EPO mode.
Entertainment purposes only. But
I never
don't
let you
do
check
that.
it out like this.
I didn't chicken out.
You checking it out.
A DWHS is special.
It is
Okay.
special. I would imagine you could DWHS Kofi and ADR.
No, because they may not want to put the belt on him. We could lose by disqualification. You know, they could have him beat him by DQ, have him in the armbar to make him, to get over that way. There's way too many variables. This makes a lot of sense. This makes sense. Ray here is an unsexy pick, but it would make sense. But here's the one thing we're missing.
Here's the one thing.
We're going to go an entire month of March without one pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
So everything
4 solid weeks of build to WrestleMania.
So it's
27.
all going to be built on TV, on Raw and SmackDown. So this is their go-home pay-per-view for WrestleMania.
And we've seen some big things happen at Elimination Chamber in the last couple of years, going into WrestleMania, where they completely changed course in some instances. This is leading in that direction as well. And what's good about
That's driving me nuts. That's a 3-letter word in there.
what's good about this is, even if it turns out being Cena wins, and you got some drama going on between Punk and Orton, you still got that unfinished business between Punk and Cena. So whatever matchup he may go into in Mania, Punk still might want a piece of that.
You could.
Same thing with Orton. Orton may still want a piece of whatever Punk is involved in. Morrison may want a piece of whatever Sheamus is involved in, who is also in that matchup. On the SmackDown side of things, I like what you've built with Christian and Edge. I'm intrigued to know what's going on with Dolph Ziggler. What's going to happen with Wade Barrett at WrestleMania? There's a lot going on here. A lot of possibility, and that's what you want in a pay-per-view.
If this doesn't sell a pay-per-view, then nothing will. Right?
I would say so. And we're going to see what actually happens on the pay-per-view on Sunday, WWE's Elimination Chamber. It's going to be the post-show from the Pro Wrestling Report on Blog Talk
Live
Radio.
from Romines.
It's going to be at 10 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, right after the pay-per-view goes off the air. Tune in with us. We'll take your phone calls, read your tweets, and discuss all the happenings from WWE's final pay-per-view going into WrestleMania 27. It should be interesting. Should be very interesting. A lot to figure out on that pay-per-view. So, we'll be with you again Monday night on 540 ESPN with a brand new episode, and we'll see you Sunday. Tomorrow.
Sunday.
After the
Gosh.
Elimination Chamber on pay-per-view.